During this build, we had a lot of questions. How much does it cost? What parts did you use for this? Can I buy a kit to put it in? But I didn't have a lot of answers because how much does it cost? I'm scared to add up the total. It's not just the sum of the parts because there's so much labor. Are you gonna make a kit? I'd love to make a kit so that people could drop in a V8 into an E46 M3. I don't know, that might be on the drawing board.
One of the cool sides of me being in service is seeing the customers every day, and they're following along with this project. And every time they come in, they're going, when's the next episode coming on? I want more, I want more. Like, how is this doing? That's always great to see, because it's like, even though when we're having challenging times, we're stressed out, the customers always coming in going, I want more, this is awesome. How much does it cost? Can I do this myself? Like, I want this. That definitely kept me going with that project.
Through the whole process, there was amazing amounts of feedback and comments and questions about this car. I mean, we'd be at racetracks all over the country. We'd be out to eat, and someone would come up and say, hey, what's going on with the Turnicorn? Is that thing done yet? And you know, we'd be in Texas or California or Florida, and people would be coming up and asking about this car. Everyone that I know was super invested in seeing the finished product. It's kind of like one of those dreams that we all have as BMW enthusiasts. Get this ultimate E46 M3 with the ultimate engine, ultimate brakes, ultimate interior, all these things combined into one just makes like that BMW that we all want.
The most feedback I got was, great build, can you release another episode? You kind of left us hanging, like, I want to see the next one. This last episode should sum everything up and make people happy. And I'm glad we got all these followers, and E46 M3 fanatics are out there, and I'm one of them, but there's a lot more. So a lot of people have viewed this that really love that car, love the chassis of that car, and love this project. Normally when we bring a race car to the track, you do a lot of prep on it the night before. You make sure that the brakes are bled and the wheels are tight and all this kind of stuff, because you want to get to the track and just have a great experience. We didn't have to do this with Turnicorn because we built it, we know everything is going to be good, and so we basically just drove it down to the track. Driving it down to the track on the highway for an hour, it drives amazingly. It's got that steering feel we wanted, but when you downshift and get on it, it's got that V8 power that we wanted too. Expectations, I wasn't concerned, but I was a little unsure on how it would actually do on the racetrack. Because as I've learned over the years, just because you build a really good street car doesn't mean it's going to do okay on the track. We pull in, Robbie Foley meets us there, and it's the first time that Robbie has seen the car, and he kind of looks at it, and I don't remember what he said, but it was like, oh, it looks nice. He's like, you guys did a good job in how it looks. And then we open up the hood, and he sees it, and he's like, looks like BMW, could have built this. When he got in the car and strapped in and started it up, and it roared to life, which it does, the whole garage kind of looked over, because here we have this car that looks tame. I mean, it's black, it's kind of stealthy looking, and it's subtle, right? And he starts it up, and all of a sudden, all eyes kind of turn at the car and Robbie. And the other thing is, people were probably wondering why winning race car driver like this guy right now is coming to Connecticut to drive this car, right? But I think they realized when we started it up and when he rolled out of the garage that this car was something special.
My name's Lou Gingerella. I'm the club director here at Thompson Speedway in Thompson, Connecticut. The club is a semi-private group of individuals that enjoy being on track and driving cars fast and just having a lot of fun on a track day. We were thrilled to be able to have Turner come out here today and do that. It was really a treat for all of us to see what they put together.
Of course, I'm a little bit nervous because this is the day when you shake down your baby, right? And not that I didn't have, the utmost confidence that we got this right, but you never know. And as long as I've been racing cars and building cars and doing all this stuff, there's always something that's going to go wrong. And I'm texting Brew, I'm like, did you bring spare this? Did you bring that? Did you and I didn't want to bug him because I wanted to get here and really see what this can do.
When I saw the first lap and him go by the first lap without pulling in, I knew the car was going to be okay. And I'm watching Brew and stuff, and obviously he's got a lot at stake because this is kind of his his baby, right?
We got Robbie Foley there to put the car through its paces, and it really performed perfectly. We really didn't need to do much at all except for put gas in it and change the tires.
When it goes by the second time and it goes a little bit even faster, I'm like, I got a good feeling about this. And you could see Brew kind of relaxing a little bit and just kind of smile. Robbie just set lap after lap, getting faster and faster, and the sound that this thing was making, it was awesome. It couldn't have gone any better. When he pulled in and gave me the download on how it was, it exceeded my expectations because he said the car didn't do anything wrong. Like, it handled good, it was neutral, it was easy to drive, it was fun.
This was an honor to be the guy chosen to drive it for the first time. I've been following the progress of Will and all the guys at the shop, all the man hours that went into this thing, and to be the first one to drive it's awesome. It's honestly, it's one of the best street cars I've ever driven. It's got amazing handling. You take an E46 M3, that's one of the best handling BMWs of all time, and put the E92 engine in it, and you have a perfect combination of handling and power. It's a dream to drive. The feel from the steering is unbelievable. It's nothing like you get in a modern day car. So I'm totally blown away, and we ran hard all day and had no issues.
The car was fast too. For a street car, this thing was like doing race car speeds and things that race cars do. And yet, driving it there, the thing drives like a street car.
One of the things that totally blew me away with how refined this thing is, normally when you take an existing street car and modify it, I've driven loads of them before, it's a kind of a hodgepodge of parts, and the car feels a bit disconnected front and rear. But with all the experience these guys have with this chassis and the parts they've built over many years, it's perfect. It feels like a car that BMW would make.
Obviously, it's been a long journey, and to get to this point, and the car performs just like we had hoped. It's huge.
But I think the icing on the cake was when I saw Robbie smile. Like, under the helmet, I saw this big smile as he was driving off the track, and I knew that we achieved something special, and that's exactly what we wanted. And to have him come out and say all the things that Brew and I talked about on this build, and you know, it was unscripted because like we really did want this car to handle like an E46 M3, which is my favorite handling BMW. But we did want it to go down the straightaway like it had that fire-breathing V8 in it. And you know, for Robbie's first impression or his impression of the car to be like that, and then to say that it's refined and streetable, I mean, we nailed it.
So now that the project is done and Turnicorn is ready to take on the world, looking back at this, it came out better than I thought it could come out. But it took a lot longer, and there was a lot more challenges that we ran into.
Maybe the biggest was the exhaust fitment. This car really just was never designed for a V8. The frame rails are super narrow. There really just was not enough room to make the headers work. I think they turned out really good, actually. The end result, the sound, the power that we made definitely exceeded our expectations. It was a ton of work and a lot of hours.
I mean, with any build, especially this one, just because of how precise we wanted to be with a lot of this. Many challenges. I think the big ones, going back to the initial engine fitment, where it should sit and how it's gonna best work with all the other components like steering, exhaust, you name it. I mean, the cooling system, all of that. I mean, that was a lot of time and effort in just trying to fit and trial and error. Brew and Kim and all the guys spent hours and hours and days and weeks on just fitting some of these little components.
One of the unforeseen challenges with a build like this was the balance of maintaining the service department flow and then waiting for parts for Turnicorn come in, so we have this next project that we gotta start going on to or completing, and then slowing down service to then put time onto Turnicorn. Luckily, with all the resources that we had, we were able to find our way through those challenges.
If we documented every single challenge, we'd be here forever, right? It would take that much longer. So we would just have to overcome these things and get by. But there was a lot of little things that took time in this car. At the beginning, we didn't know what we didn't know. This project is a huge one. And to do it the way that we did it was a lot more challenging than originally expected. But it was worth it because, again, we achieved exactly what we wanted. We achieved the steering feel and the handling of arguably the best handling BMW ever built with the power and the sound of the V8. But it looks like a street car and it drives like a race car. Like, awesome. Would I do it again? Of course I'd do it again. I don't know how we could make it better though. Like, how could we make it better?
From the beginning, the planning and the thought that went into this car was huge. And I remember all the times of Will calling us into his office and talking about this car and talking about what do we want it to look like, what do we name it, what parts are we gonna put on this, deciding how we were gonna package this thing and how we're gonna put it together, what components and what features the Turnicorn should have to be this ultimate M3.
Some of the favorite moments of this build, when the engine went in on the desktop metal mounts and the exhaust fit and everything, and I looked at that V8 sitting in there and saw how perfectly it fit. That was one of my favorite moments, because that was one of the hardest things to do. That was probably number one. The second thing was the way that the guys figured out how to keep the steering and the steering rack and everything in the right position using the same stuff. That was probably number two. And then of course, number three was the first time I drove that out onto the street and went through the gears, and it just accelerated and sounded exactly like I had dreamed about. There was a lot more, but those are the things that stand out in my mind.
Definitely running the car at full throttle up to full RPM on the dyno for the first time was a huge moment. I knew that the power number was going to be big. It actually exceeded even what I thought the car was going to be able to do. Considering we're on street gas, 91 octane, to make over 500 horsepower out of a naturally aspirated 4.6 liter is pretty awesome. It was a huge amount of work to get to that point, but to finally run it up to full RPM was pretty great.
Yeah, I think one of the more exciting parts of the project was realizing that we've got it pretty well, we got it figured out. Like we kind of see, the light at the end of the tunnel, we think we've got it now. That was really exciting. We were like, we got past all those hurdles, and then like, hey, it fired up, it came together, very little issues. And like, that was really exciting to see, like we did it.
Turner Motorsport had the advantage when building this car to draw on our years of experience in all sorts of different things. We have years of the service department's experience. We also could draw from the experience of the guys that modified cars. Then we have the race team that fabricate complete race cars and have seen and touched all these different parts on hundreds of different race cars, right? That's what separates us from somebody else building this car. Turner Motorsport having the ability to draw from all this wisdom clearly makes this car something that people couldn't duplicate.
We have definitely built a lot of cars, but nothing to this scale. To take a look back on the whole project, and everyone's super excited that we did this, and to see that much time and effort going to something and come out that well, it's very, very cool.
Just seeing that finished product together with the wheels on it, tires on it, on the ground, aligned and corner balanced and sitting there. I mean, the car looks amazing. Knowing all the hours and effort and conversations and margaritas and tacos that went into that car is just, it's incredible for me.
This car, I think from the beginning, was my dream build. If I had a clean sheet of paper, this is basically the car that I would build. To have the time and the budget to just do exactly what we wanted was really cool. I don't think many people have the opportunity to do that sort of thing.
This was such an exciting build because it's something that I don't normally get to do. I'm usually just on the race team. It was a great project to be a part of.
I guess now that it's done, I have a lot of feelings about this. Not only what's next, but when I look at the car, it means something. And it's not like we haven't had challenges and we haven't built other project cars and stuff. But this was the one I could draw from all the talents that I had. We just did it to showcase how awesome we are. And you know what? It worked. Like, I am super proud of it. It's always gonna be around, and it's like a statement and a testament of Turner Motorsport. I've been using and selling sacks. Why do you think that's funny? What's funny about that?
About ready to shift it into high gear, put the throttle down and get things done.
And go.
No.
I'm always very busy, so it's just hard to lay eyes on me sometimes.
Are you just?
Things are really revving up here around Turner.
Obviously,
Sick of talking to you.
whatever.
Yeah, so the seats we chose for this Turnicorn build are super. Sorry, the seats we choose. The seats we chose for the Turnicorn are super unique. They're the seats out of the M4 GTS Euro. Sorry, I'll get it. Don't worry.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I'm hungry.
Me too. I'm
I
starving.
got some veggie pasta to eat
Veggie pasta.
in a bag. It's really good. Bird's eye. You can just watch.
can't-
and
I can't even-
If this is a success, you can take credit. If it's not, you can blame me.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
can't
usually
even
do.
lift this glass. Will looks really strange in a go-kart. His head is over the crash bar.
Listen there, Junior. Sit on your little phone book. Put your little foot extensions on there so you can hit the brake. Do you think when we go out like this, people think we're twins? I think we're being recorded. Jay? 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 Whoa. Have you seen Jay?
I'm all over the place.
Jay! Hey, Brew, I think there's another camera in the chips. See that little chip with a hole in it? That's where the camera is. So don't say anything like too socially unacceptable.
Is that what you've been doing lately? A lot of mopping?
Downhill.
Get out of here.